2021 tarehe 23 mwezi wa 11 mwaka 2021. Natumai kwamba uko salama na umeamka vizuri, uko tayari kuanza siku yako kwa njia shwari zaidi. This is the State of the Nation edition of the 23rd of November 2021, tarehe 23 mwezi wa 11 mwaka 2021. As usual, I request that please when you join in, please like. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and that you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch broadcast. Pole sana tumechelewa leo kidogo kwa zaidi ya dakika 30. Pole ni sana, we are late by over 30 minutes. I apologize for that. At least we never get late, so it's the first time utusamee kidogo. Hii wiki nyingine takisha kwamba basi kielekea Christmas tutachelewa. It's 1 month to Christmas. Merry Christmas in advance, just in case we don't get to see each other. And you can also send a deposit of my Merry Christmas gift. Nianze kukula pole pole kwa sababu huwezi jua mambo vipi. Haya, when you join, please like and share. Like, share. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and that you like, please share. You share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Leo tuko na Mwende Katabaki, the first gubernatorial aspirant in Kiambu County, first woman to declare the interest in Kiambu County. I don't know why women in Kiambu County have never decided to run for a seat, but we have Mwende Katabaki today. He's going to take us through the ambitions that she has for Kiambu County, na pia zile kazi ambazo ameanza kufanya. She was in FDP, African Development Bank, pale atatuambia pia alifanya nini pale. Akaja yeye ndiye anasikia alitengeneza e-citizen. She is the one who was working on the e-citizen platform by the request of the President Uhuru Kenyatta. So she'll also tell us what she was about to achieve on those front lines, and also the visions that she has for Kiambu County. This is a Tackle State of the Nation edition and begins now. Lakini kama kawaida lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi basi na kuja kuangalia salamu gani ambazo ziko hapa. Naona ungana maamka mapema, basi kuja tusalimiane. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify him. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. We thank you for this program and the discussions that we are about to have as we begin and as we finish. May it edify the fabric of this country. For we pray, starting and believing. Amen. Imana Wangeshi Wangai Carlos, good morning to you. Kokoi Plumeri, good morning. Man Rosh Kipkorir, jambo sana. Emmanuel Sarem, good morning to you. My brother Wilson Joroke Kariuki, good morning. Koreanas Meli, odi, good morning to you. Melil, Koreanas Kolil, karibu sana. Jay keep falling from CBD. Evans Mudgod tuned in from Pipeline. Asante Emmanuel Sarem, Leonard Sarem, Honorable Moses Kibenenji Gane Chep Tap Kibiri. That's karibu sana. Jessa keeping God, keeping God tuned in. Shiko Katiba, good morning to you. Shiko, good to see you this morning. Don Maverick, a very good morning to all. Nairobi is watching. Rosemary Kabuki, good morning. Zamani Baya Bundles. Ross Olalo, good morning. Bulimbo watching. Asante sana Amon Biwad, good morning. Ariemba Job, good morning. Kayemba Wandambusi, morning Gerald tuned in from the great county of Trans Nzoia. Asante sana watu wa Trans Nzoia, mna mambo kidogo. Niliona jana kuna mungwana alikuwa anatembea na microphone yake pale Trans Nzoia County, kitembea na baba. Ndemo siku hizi, if you are not recognized, you recognize yourself. Mambo ni kujipanga. Sebastian, good morning to you my brother. Battles Nilizurona ndio guest on Mwende Katabaki. Asante David Kamau, good morning team Tech Class. I wish everyone a blessed day and week ahead. Asante sana. Keep quiet, keep. Good to see my brother Hanzama. Good morning, Team Tackle, watching from Eldoret. Asante sana, bro. Kipto Victor, Kipto Gerald, when are we having a discussion on sports matters? Mambo inakuja. February pale mambo yini toka imeingia na mambo ya sport, basi mtakuwa mnaweza kuzungumza kwa njia shwari zaidi. Larry Kimonori, good morning, Mr. T. Dundin from Chens again. Good to see you. PK Kimutai, getting 11 clear from Namanga border. Asante sana kijana. Sam Kinuthia, good morning. Good morning to you. Vinny Boss, yeah, gone. Good morning. As usual, we'll join in. Please like when you like. We get to know that you're watching us, and also please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is the Tackle that begins now. Lakini kama kawaida tuende pale tulipa ushuru kidogo, tuende madukani tulipa ushuru, tulipa madeni, alafu tukirudi tunakuja kuangalia mambo yenu inakuwa vipi. Na tuanza na Maridadi Motors. Maridadi Motors inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuagiza gari kwa njia shwari zaidi. You can import in direct import in Maridadi Motors, and you get to save up to 300,000 shillings. When you import with Maridadi Motors, you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings, and that's only giving you an opportunity to invest your money. If you have money ambayo imelala mahali fulani, unaweza invest pale kwa import sell model where you get to earn up to 15% returns on your income. Na pia kuna Maridadi Motors saka mama inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kusave kwa njia mbili. If you are saving for a unit, you can save the 50% value of the car. Kama unataka kununua gari ya shilingi milioni moja, weka akiba ya shilingi 500,000 ama 500,000, alafu basi nyingine unaanza kulipia polepole ukiwa barabarani. Na pia kama una save kama akiba, weka pale savings zako, unapata pia faida ya 15% ama 15% returns on your investment. Maridadi Motors moves your status. Maridadi moves your status. Na kama pia unajenga, Rexer Roofing inaupa nafasi ya kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba nyumba yako unaiweka paa safi zaidi. New roof with Rexer Roofing, nyumba ambayo inaiona shwari zaidi. Ukiona pale na mbali unajua watu wengi wanaangalianga nyumba wanaona paa, you look at the roof unasema nyumba yenyewe imejengwa. Kwa hivyo Rexer Roofing inaupa nafasi ya kuweza kuroof nyumba yako kwa njia nzuri zaidi. Quality roofing shingles, stone coated tiles, na pia inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuharvest maji na UPVC water harvesting cutters, 100% safe water for consumption. We're also giving you 10% off all the waterproofing solutions, waterproofing membranes, and also APP, waterproofing liquid as well. Inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba unapata 10% off, 10% off. If you're doing a project today, you know you can get a 10% off at Rexa Roofing, because we are celebrating 10 years since the company was formed, 10-year anniversary. So we're giving you 10% on the waterproofing products. Pia Rexa Roofing pia tunakuja pale kama uko Eldoret, tunafika pale sokoni, watu wote wa North Rift, hakikisha kwamba sokoni itakuwa imejengwa kwa njia shwari zaidi. D-Square pia ukiwa pale Eldoret, D-Square where Ketia building 4th floor, unaenda pale unapata mng'aro shwari zaidi kama hii ambao unaiona kila siku. Kimbia pale D-Square where Ketia building 4th floor, unapata pia 15% off when you say umetumwa pale kutoka hapa Takole. Asante sana. Na pia bado tuko na watu wa Sweet Tunda, matunda shwari zaidi, na nimefurahi governor hapa leo atapelekea watoto hapa granola na matunda hapo nzuri, granola na matunda. So Sweet Tunda inapa nafasi kuweza kupata afya zaidi. Granola ambayo inatoka pale kwa Sweet Tunda ni granola mzuri zaidi, iko na mixed fruits ambazo zimekaushwa, iko na macadamia, iko na mixes na matunda pia pale. Kuna ile ambayo inaitwa chocolate granola pia. Iko na macadamia, mixed seeds na some chocolate chips kama unataka a different taste of granola. An healthy way to do your meal. Na pia pale ukipata pale mango yao pia ambayo imekaushwa, matunda shwari zaidi. Thank you so much Sweet Tunda. Kimbia pale madukani ama upiga oda yako sasa hivi, alafu unaweza kuletewa mahali popote ulipo, ama uende pale inaitwa nini, Carrefour ama Chandarana food chain, unapata oda yako kwa njia shwari zaidi. Anampa it cost you only 1,000 bob. Vile umeona pale kwenye screen, only 1,000 shillings, na unapata pia mpaka kikapu nzuri zaidi. Haya, good morning to you, Mwende Katabaki.
Good morning.
Jambo.
Salama.
Saidia microphone mheshimiwa, na microphone yake ni kama imetuacha kidogo. Haya mheshimiwa. Good morning. Uko salama?
Kabisa.
It's your first time on the tackle.
Yes.
I hope you're feeling comfortable. You're home and dry.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can't complain.
All right. Asante sana. Karibu, nitakupa nafasi ya kuweza kujiintroduce kwa wangwana, kwa sababu ni mara yako ya kwanza. Si mara yenu ya kwanza, lakini mara yako ya kwanza. So maybe you can introduce yourself first.
Yes. Right. So Mwende Gatabaki. I come from Githunguri in Kiambu County. And I've worked inside for the last 20 years. I've been working inside the country and outside the country. I've been looking at our political arena and seeing how things are shaping up. And because I come from a political family, I've always been interested in the politics of the country. And my parents in particular were always servants of the people. My father was a senior chief for the longest until he went into farming. My mother was a community development officer for her life, like for 40 years. So I learned that you know, serving the people and being there for the people is very important. Sure. So that's why this is what has brought me to where I am today, wanting to maybe serve the people as the governor of Kiambu County.
Habari ya Githunguri.
Salama.
Okay. What's going on there? Ground and everyone is listening to the ground.
Githunguri, there's a historical content to Githunguri because if you recall, this is where the national independent movement started, the Mau Mau, what we call the Mau Mau. So Githunguri in Kenya is actually a very important sub-county. Yeah, which actually started the initiative, which led to Kenya getting its independence. Yes, but it's a very calm place. But recently it has become very toned down. Let me say very toned down. And they feel, having talked to many people from Githunguri, they actually feel a bit neglected. And so those are some of the things I want to look at. If I was, even...
Githunguri is in Kiambu?
Githunguri is in Kiambu.
But I thought the president comes from Kiambu. How are the people of Githunguri neglected?
Okay. The president comes from Gatondo, which is another sub-county of Kiambu. In Kiambu County, there are actually 12 sub-counties or constituencies. So Githunguri and Gatondo are 2 out of the 12. Yes. They are 2 out of the 12. Yes.
So the people of Githunguri feel they have been neglected by Jubilee government. Why do they feel so?
For starters, they say when it came to the elections, they really turned out in big numbers. But they feel like, for example, the president has actually never even gone there to say thank you, to appreciate them. and the support that they have given him for those 10 years. So they feel like, well, he didn't really appreciate how they campaigned for him and actually, supported him for all those years. In addition to that, Githunguri is one of those sub-counties where there is no, some of the basic things you expect in the sub-county, the size of Githunguri, is one, a level 4 hospital. Githunguri has no level 4 hospital. Secondly, it has no sewerage system. Okay, so all the waste or the water waste and is just discharged at night. So basic things like that, and considering where Githunguri is coming from, they feel they shouldn't be at that position. They shouldn't be at that level. Yes.
So ground inalia.
Kabisa.
Unasema jeshi tingenu. Jeshi inasema ni kubaya. And now, what do you think yourself is the state of the nation? That's the people of Githunguri. They feel the state of the nation is not good. They feel neglected, and they feel that the president that they supported and they woke up to vote for has not gone back to say thank you to them. I think thank you should be through projects or what? But I've been seeing a lot of projects happening in Kiambu. I'm seeing an expressway.
Saying thank you to start with is just going there. The same way when you're campaigning, you go and talk to people and you convince them why they should vote for you. Saying thank you sometimes is just, first of all, you go back there and you actually say thank you. And you ask them, you have succeeded. Thank you for your support. The things I had promised, I'll make sure, they get done. Just talk to them. Just talk to them so that they see you, that you've come back to actually appreciate them. Yes.
So the president actually has never gone to Githunguri?
No.
Ama ni mambo ya watu wa Githunguri wanaleta siasa kwa rais?
If they say he has never come, surely he has never come.
Haya, watu wa Githunguri, sijui kama mnaekea vitina rais ama ni kweli rais hajafika pale. Tafadhali tuambie watu wa Githunguri mnasikiaje? Ground inasema vipi? Na sasa wewe unaona state of the nation inakaa vipi? What's the state of the nation?
Now the way it's looking, it's a bit confusing. Let me talk about, let's say, Mount Kenya in general. It's a bit confusing because this is the first time we don't have a Kikuyu presidential candidate. That is very confusing. So when I attended, a couple of weeks ago, I attended the funeral for the Archbishop of the Independent Church, the Mother Church in Githunguri. And what I noticed, there were two groups of people. There was a lot of politics playing out. So there was one group who kept on talking about President Uhuru, President Uhuru, President Uhuru. There was another group saying, his deputy sent his greetings, his deputy sent his condolences, etc. And you could see the politics. So what happened afterwards outside? People were asking, why are you talking about President Uhuru? Is he running in the next election? So, but I understood it. We have a group of people who are stuck. That, they know President Uhuru. There's no Kikuyu running in the next election. So they're kind of just stuck there, not knowing, which way to move. Yeah, that group is there. Yes.
How big is the group?
I would say, let me say in Mount Kenya, I would put it as, there are 4 groups. I would say there's the elite, who you hear more often. They're the ones who will say, for example, any presidential candidate who wants to talk to Mount Kenya people, they must come through us. That's the elite. Then we have, and they're the moneyed people, and they're the people, you hear most of the time. Then we have the youth. I would say the youth is about maybe a good 35 to 40%. It's a big block. And here when I talk about the youth, I'm talking about between age of 18 to 35. Then I would say there's a middle class. The middle class, they're more interested in their professions, their businesses, how will this play out, Then when you see most of people undecided in the polls, they're usually in the middle class. Because the youth, most of them there are very many unemployed youth. So when they hear someone talking about something that resonates with their situation, that's what they're going for. So you see the youth are very, they're very attracted to the deputy president. They are, they are in sync with the kind of things he's talking about. The middle class are playing a wait and see game, let's see how this plays out. Then I would say there's a fourth group, which is more traditional, more cultural. For example, one of our one of our value system is that we keep our promises.
Yes.
So that group will keep on reminding you that in 2013 the president said, "Give me 10 years, and you give my deputy 10 years." Or they will keep on reminding. When I talked to one of the ladies in that group, she reminded me in 1969, after Tom Mboya was shot, there was an oathing ceremony that happened in Ishaweri, where the Jomo Kenyatta's home.
Yes.
And he says what they were told then was, Kikuyus, you must never vote for a Luo president. So that lady told me as advice, you see, you people who talk to the president, go and tell him, if you want us to, for example, vote for Raila, he has to de-oath us. What his father gave us in 1969, he must de-oath us. So that is what happened.
So there was an oath.
There was an oath in 1969. We don't talk about it. People don't talk about it. They don't talk about oaths at all.
Right.
Okay? But this lady, because I had gone to consult with her, and she's been there, she's been involved in politics. Yeah, she told me, you people who talk to Uhuru, tell him, if you want us to vote for Raila, he has to de-oath us. So that in Kikuyu we say "Gotaikyo," we vomit what we said that time.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. We are going through interesting times.
So there's someone in 1969 who organized an oathing ceremony, and that is President Jomo Kenyatta.
Yes.
He organized an oathing in 1969 to oath the whole community,
and many more,
or a few people,
and many more. But it was mainly for the Gema group.
Okay.
Because this was after Tom Mboya had been assassinated. And so the group to stay together so that if there is any, blowback from the Luo community, they would be together. Okay. That kind of thing.
So what was the content of the oath?
That
because
I
now
don't
that
know,
is surprising.
because they don't talk about oaths. I mean, my parents, both my mother and my father were Mau-Maus, but they never talked about oaths for the longest. I would always ask them, what was an oath? How many did you take? That's a subject that people who take oaths never talk about.
Okay.
So even this one was just like a by the way, for this to happen. But otherwise, it's not something, you ordinarily sit down and discuss. No.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you've given you've done several groupings for this. You've done several demographic demarcations. Now, what percentages would you give? You have the elites. What percentage is it? You've talked about the youth. What percentage is it? You've talked about the undecided. What the percentage is it? You've talked about the middle class. What percentage is it? You've talked about the people who still.
The tradition, the
yes,
more cultural, they abide to the values.
I would want to see. I would want to see a breakdown of these percentages. How do they look like?
Okay, generally, and this is just from talking with them and what I've concluded. Okay, the elite, for example, that's a small percentage, like 1 to 2%. Okay, then we talk about the youth. That's a big percentage. I would say that's about 35 to 40%. Okay, of Mount Kenya in general. Then we talk about the middle class, that's about 20% around there. Then I'll talk about that other last group. And they are also our seniors in the different professions. They are also our seniors. They're the people with old money, I would say. Yeah, that's another 25% or so. Then there's a whole undecided, which is like 20%. Okay. 20%, yeah.
All right. So let's go back. Let's leave Mount Kenya a little bit. Let's come back to the nation. What do you think is the state of the nation? The economy, the social fabric, the politics, and what do you think is the general state of the nation?
So, speaking generally about what I'm seeing in the country,
yes,
when it comes to the economy and the economic factors, people are doing very, very badly. Okay. And when I say that, it's also not only what I have seen in Kiambu, but what I have seen elsewhere. So, for example, when I have someone like my housekeeper telling me, how can I help them because they haven't paid school fees for the last 2 terms? So, and that is a person who's employed. So I hate to imagine about the many who are unemployed. Then, of course, the COVID issue, the impact of COVID. There's also the impact of climate change in terms of food production in the whole country, okay? Food production, livelihoods. So many people have lost jobs. There's a whole issue about water access, So it's a combination of factors. And then the fact that Then we have our issues of debt, of mismanagement of resources. So when you combine that, how the economy is doing, you combine with COVID, and you combine with climate change. Let me say, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. Yes.
Okay. All right. There's a question for you here from Njunjagi, and he's asking, morning GB, ask our guest, why does Mount Kenya electorate feel very entitled and Kenya is bigger than Mount Kenya?
It's a good question. Actually, I don't know the answer because that's just how they feel entitled. Look at how, for example, look at the youth between 18 to 35 years. They have grown up in the last, let's say, 20 years with two Kikuyu presidents, Kibaki and then Uhuru. So they don't know different. How was it without a Kikuyu president? They really don't know. But also there's a whole entitlement. That's why you'll hear the elite. And that's why I said the elite will say, the running mate must be from Mount Kenya. Our population is so big that we are very significant in the decisions made in the country. I think we will... If you ask me for my opinion, I think we need a president who's now not from Mount Kenya, so that we can also accept that Kenya is not just about Mount Kenya. It's not just about us. There are so many other people, outside Mount Kenya, and they matter also. They are just as important. That's my opinion, though.
Okay. All right. Yes. Talking about Mount Kenya, still Mount Kenya, the mountain is being climbed. Many politicians are now hiking, especially presidential candidates are on a hiking expedition. I don't know. What do you think? What's the voice in Mount Kenya? People have been saying tunasikia ground. What is the mountain saying?
I would say from the assessment I've done, I've talked to the youth, I've talked to older people who've been there for the longest in the political arena, in businesses. I would put that together and say that I would give, let's say, William Ruto about a good 65%, and if he could work on the undecided, because these are 20% undecided. If he could work on that undecided, that could very easily go to 70%. People like we also have the ex-prime minister Raila Odinga. There are challenges there. The challenge is there. And I would be surprised if we really even get that 30% that we're actually talking about. And then we have the others. The problem is they're not really coming out. Even Raila Odinga, he's not really coming out. So nobody really knows, is he running or not? I mean, that question is still, people are still asking that question. The one person who has really come out is William Ruto. And he has said he's running. He's coming to see people throughout. Yeah, so that's a person they see. And that's a person who's very clear and he has made that decision. So that's how I would say the numbers are looking.
But the people that we've been calling the owners of the mountain, that is the Mount Kenya Foundation and the elite, have spoken as well and have declared support for Right Honorable Raila Odinga. They made a statement, public one at that. They have organized meetings for him. We've seen they've been moving around with him as well and giving him support. Does that not then entail to the mountain speaking? Because they say those are the owners of the mountain.
Well,
they're the owners of capital. They're the owners of the social structures. Is that not the mountain speaking?
No, it's not.
Why do you give him 30% with all that system behind him?
In fact, what I mentioned is when we talk about the elite, I would give them 1 to 2%. If you're 1 to 2% of Mount Kenya, so who do you really represent? I mean, when it talks to votes, we all vote. It's one man, one vote, right? So if that's just 1%, whose votes are they also talking about? So I would say yes, they're the moneyed people. They're the moneyed people. They're the ones who talk most of the time. They're the ones who get to hear. But they don't represent us because they have not been, they have not been appointed by the people to represent them and to represent their views. So I would say no, they don't represent Mount Kenya.
So are you trying to say that it will not have any effect on the campaigns in 2022? They have done before.
It could have some impact because a lot of money will be splashed, and there are people who, they get converted by the amount of money they get. But I doubt whether it will be significant enough to change that, let's say 30% that Honorable, Raila Odinga, that we are looking, that we are estimating that he'll get. I doubt whether it will have any significant impact on that.
Okay. So you're playing down Mount Kenya Foundation. So who will have the effect then? If it's not the owners of the mountain, then who?
The people. The mountain belongs to the people.
All right.
Yeah, it belongs to the people of Mount Kenya. Yes, and they don't want to be, they want to choose their own leaders. They want to choose their own leaders. So you cannot talk on their behalf. The people will choose who they want to be led by. Yes.
So at this point, as we're speaking, we have different factions that are in Mount Kenya as well. We've seen National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has come out as well. Moses Kuria has been out on the campaigns. Pole sana pia na mgonjwa na kutakia kila laheri. Ugua pole mheshimiwa. Pia we have Martha Karua. We have I had Waiguru last week here. We're being several factions of leadership coming up in Mount Kenya. As you're speaking about the mountain speaking, will it speak in one voice? And towards which end?
I would say no. There's no one voice. Again, the mountain is many people, and they all have their views. So chances are there are those who will feel this is a better presidential candidate than this one, and they have their, they have their reasons. For example, the majority of the youth, and I would say like 80% of the voting youth, will most likely vote for William Ruto, because that's a person who is speaking their language. That's a person they think is, will take care of them, will take care of their needs, will look into their issues. They feel, on the other hand, Raila Odinga is very, there's a bit of power. They feel there's a bit of power distance with Raila Odinga, that he's not listening to what they're saying. So I don't think there will be one single voice. And even when I have been talking with people myself, they tell me, okay, as we are in ODM, we'll vote you for governor. As we are in UDA, we'll vote you for governor. You see, they're already saying, no, we are in different. We have for president, we have different people, but for you, we are looking at you as a person who has done 1, 2, 3, and we are looking at you as an individual, not the party that you're going to join. That kind of thing. Yes. So I'm already getting that feeling that no, there won't be one voice. There are many different voices. All right. Yes.
I would want you to speak about President Uhuru Kenyatta. Yesterday we saw an interview, we read an interview that was done with Speaker Justin Muturi, and he said categorically that for 3 times the president has told him that is retiring with Honorable Raila Odinga, and they said that was the handshake deal, that him and Raila Odinga will retire. The president as well has cancelled the NDC, Jubilee NDC, that was supposed to happen this week to kick out the deputy president. And it's a few months to the general elections, and the president has remained quiet on what he thinks about the transitional politics going to happen. Now, everyone speculates around what is happening with the president, on what he thinks about what's going to happen post 2022. He has not also come out very strongly to speak against his deputy, surprisingly several years after the disquiet in the handshake and the seemingly cold relationship. All these speculations are coming up. What do you make of it?
First of all, the cancelling of that meeting, for me, is the right thing to do. Because here we are expecting an outgoing president to choose the incoming president for us. Those people who think that way, that idea is totally misplaced. The outgoing president, we should let the outgoing president finish his term in peace, and give us the space to be the ones to select the next president of the country. So then the issues between the president and the deputy, you know how I see them, and I hope this will not belittle the issue, is that I see them like marriage, when husbands and wife fight. And if you try to intervene that, when they become friends, you become the enemy. So that one, I would just leave it as it is. Let them fight. They know why they got together in the first place. and they both know why they are fighting each other. And that one, I'll just leave it to them to sort it out. But the country, we must go on. That fight is not, we are not part of that fight.
Right.
We should let that fight, they should sort out that fight themselves. But we should continue what we are doing, looking for the best leader who can take this country forward from where we are.
Okay. Yes. So what do you think that is going on between the three leaders? What is going on?
Which one and which
Do you think Raila Odinga, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Ruto?
There's a gap there. There's a gap there because when we got the handshake, when Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga did the handshake without telling the deputy, who was the deputy president, who was the partner when they ran in the 2 times they ran together, yes, that is betrayal. I mean, what else can it be called? And yes, I would understand the deputy president, feeling betrayed, by the president, that he could actually go outside their agreement and actually bring in a third factor. So that I understand how the deputy president feels. Why the president thought it was important to have that handshake with Raila Odinga is, I think he's the one who really knows the answer, because I suspect even Raila himself is not fully in the picture of why the president did that.
Okay.
It's coming out because sometimes there's a meeting held, Raila is invited, then the meeting is cancelled. What does it mean? So I suspect even Raila himself does not exactly know why the president chose to have a handshake with him.
Okay. Yeah. So you feel the president could pull a card under the table?
I think so. And I think he's going to do exactly that.
So the statement by Muturi, you almost agree with it?
Well, I wasn't there when Muturi was told that, but I can I've worked for the president. Okay. I did a project for him. You recall when they came into power, the digital transformation, the digital agenda was a big thing. And actually, I was working for the African Development Bank, and I was recalled in 2014. The president actually recalled me to come back and actually champion the digital transformation of government. So I can say I've interacted with the president. When I hear Muturi saying something like that, I know it's something the president can say. Okay. So I would say yes. I can see the president saying that.
Having worked with him, you almost believe what Muturi is saying.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Interesting. Now we are at the campaign period, and we're having several offers on the ground that are coming in. We're having William Ruto coming in with a bottom-up economic model. We've seen Raila Odinga as well saying he's going to give money to people, 6,000. I don't know if that is not bottom-up or where it's coming from. But also, I think giving money to the bottom, 6,000 to each, I don't know, each Kenyan or what. Elfu sita inakuja pale. Musalia Mudavadi ameanza ingine inaitwa middle-out economy, ambaye anasema tunapunguza ushuru, sijui tunafanya vipi. We have several offers on the ground on economic models, campaign pledges. What do you make of all these models?
Okay. Let me take you back to 2008 when we had something called the Economic Stimulus Program. And what happened was the government invested in smallholder farmers in fish farming. That's where smallholder farmers fish farming started. And what they did is that they gave them the inputs. They give them the fingerlings. They give them the dam liners. They told them to make ponds and take care of the fish. And actually, it worked because aquaculture production moved from 4,000 metric tons per year in 2008 to 24 metric tons in 2014 when the government stopped the support to smallholder farmers. Then from there it dropped down. So I believe, to me, that is really an example of the bottom-up economics where you're dealing with the actual farmers on the ground, the real recipients of the initiatives that you're doing. So for me, that is what makes most sense. When you look at Raila's agenda of giving them 6,000, if those fish farmers had been given money in cash, what would they have done about it? Okay. Nothing. I don't think they would have gone very far. But the fact that they were given inputs, they were given some training, they were given some training, some support in terms of technical support, and dealing directly with them, that is what actually made the aquaculture production increase.
Okay.
So for me, that is the real bottom-up economics. Yes. So I would go for that bottom-up economics where you're actually dealing with the recipient of the ground and not necessarily giving them cash. You're giving them inputs depending on, whatever, let's say it's a value chain you're developing, how you're developing it, what other kind of support you're giving them along the way, that kind of thing. So I would say I believe in that bottom-up economics model, not the one of giving them cash. Yes.
Okay. So how feasible is it?
Come again?
How feasible is it? How possible is that model?
Very
or is
possible.
it just another campaign slogan?
No, very possible. Right now, I actually, from 2018, before even the whole bottom-up economic model came up, I had started a project of fish farming because I had done a feasibility study to see why that ESP program, why it collapsed. And so I started looking for financing to actually build on that, program. And it's something I've been doing. What I have seen, so what we're doing right now is actually coming up with what I would call the proof of concept. Then we roll it out to the farmers. Okay. And we already have a queue of farmers waiting for it to be rolled out. So it works.
Okay.
It works.
It works.
And the ESP worked. The aquaculture production increased from 4,000 metric tons per year to 24,000 metric tons per year. So it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the frequently asked questions, FAQs, are asked on the bottom-up economic model because you seem to be a believer in the bottom-up model. Is it a tested system? Is it a tried and tested system that we know that is going to work for this country? And what is the model that we are using right now? We would want to draw a comparison between the two.
I wouldn't say it's something new. It's not new. It's how it's used in different areas. For example, if we look at the fresher, we have the fresher milk, okay?
Yes.
What is it exactly? So we have a cooperative. We have farmers enroll into their cooperative.
Okay.
We have a processing plant. So the fresher company buys all the milk from the farmers, processes, adds value, and sells to the market. This is bottom up. So when we talk about bottom up, we think it's just one thing and one thing only. Actually, the way you implement it in different value chains, in different areas, is actually different. When we talk about enterprise development, starting with the bottom, again, starting with, the way we say it's better to have 50 shops than one big mall. Again, you're thinking bottom up. You're thinking about these 50 who will support families of, let's say, 4 each, who will then also trigger other economic activities. Again, that is bottom up. So it's just how it's applied. It's not a new model. It's not anything new. It's just saying let's use the approach of creating 40 small shops instead of one mall. Then you build them from there. So the model is actually, it's not new. It's nothing new. We've done it. It's now, let's focus on it to grow the economy.
Okay. So it's tried and tested and it can actually work. All right. Okay. Haya. Ni mambo ya bottom up. Na hii nyingine unasema hizi fanya kazi ya kupeana pesa. Si pesa bado itafanya kazi kule kwenye uchumi.
No, money never works. Money never works because when you give people money, they use it for all sorts of reasons. For example, when you give youth money, we all know what happens. They would drink, they would do what. But when you give them a production unit, you give them a greenhouse, you give them seeds, and you tell them now it's you to work on this and actually earn your income.
Okay.
You actually see it working. But when you give them money, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
I think we all know that. Okay. When you give them money, even today, if a bank just gives you money and they haven't told you what you're going to do with it, chances are you, first of all, buy the best car or, different things from what you had actually even planned.
Okay.
So money doesn't work.
So your comments is it from an expert point of view or it's from a political point of view?
No, it's from an expert point of view. Expert in the sense that experience. I worked in KTDA for about 7 years, and I have seen how that smallholder tea value chain works, all the way from planting the shrubs, the tea bushes, to how it's picked, all the way to the buying centers, all the way to to Mombasa, to the warehousing. In KTDA, I joined KTDA as a general manager ICT. So I championed the digital transformation of the smallholder tea farming value chain. I can see how it works. You don't give smallholder farmers money, no. You tell them, okay, you have your land, okay, we'll give you the seedlings, we'll give you the fertilizer, we'll be bringing the fertilizer. If you need to take a loan, you can take a loan as, that's bottom up. Okay. So for me, it's from my experience and the places I have worked, the things I have done, and I have seen that it works. Yes.
Okay. Tuende Kiambu. You are running for Kiambu County Governorship. Governor seat. Okay. Okay. You're running for Kiambu gubernatorial seat as the first woman to declare interest in the Kiambu gubernatorial race. We are having Nyoro. Dr. Nyoro has been there. Waititu as well was kicked out of the seat ceremoniously is still out in the cold. You are the first woman to dare and run for the Kiambu seat. Kiambu has been seen to be a city of the tough nails. We saw Kabogo was there. He was kicked out because I don't know, mama panga laini kama nini wapewe pesa. He's out in the cold as well. It's a county of seriously competitive politics, and it's even been very difficult for men. First of all, I want to know why you would want to run for the Kiambu governorship with what you've seen, with the history that you've seen with the office.
I would say it goes back to my beginning. Of something I mentioned about my parents. So my father was one of the founding members of the independent schools and churches. He's been there for the longest, serving the people. My mother, the same. So one of the things I have always wanted to do as I grew up was also serve the people of Kiambu. Now, Kiambu, yes, is very competitive, and it's also very competitive because when it comes to the population of Kiambu, for example, we are about 2.45 million. When you look at the voters, the number of voters in Kiambu, it's actually the second largest to Nairobi. We have about 1.25 or 1.3. I think it's going to 1.3 voters. In fact, we are tying now with Nakuru, but basically Kiambu County is quite big. So, and it's also competitive in the sense that for the longest, it has always been people with money, the politics of money. Yeah, and even now, it's still the politics of money. Who has more money? Who has more money to dish out? But what I've also noticed about the Kiambu politics, it also has waves, like which party are you running on? There's a wave, like you remember the days of Ford Asili. So, there's a wave if you're running on Ford Asili, then that's, those are the people who will go in, that kind of thing. But what I have noticed all along is that does not necessarily give you the best person who can deliver. And we have had some very serious disappointments in some of the governors that they actually don't deliver some of the basic things that they promised they would deliver. So I would say then you get to a point where you say you cannot just sit and just always complain about the leadership we get. Okay, so you have to get in there and try to provide an alternative. And I believe that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. Provide an alternative. That we need leaders who deliver on the needs of the people. It's not just politics. Yes, there's politics, but then there's work to be done. And I want to be that person who actually delivers on the needs of the people.
All right. Okay. There's a question from Dozie in the section. What's your take on the mushrooming political parties? Do you see their ideological goals, or they are just collateral for certain leaders to boost their purchasing power?
Well, that is politics for you. When it comes to parties, that's just part of politics. So people will talk about their party, they will talk about their economic platform, they will talk about, their ideologies, etc. But at the end of the day, it's whether you can deliver or not. Yeah? Whether you can deliver or not. Yes, but that will always happen because that's the nature of politics.
All right. Frederick Juma, we'll come back to the agendas of Kiambu. You come back there. I'm trying to fix some things here so that we don't go back to them. Frederick Juma is saying Mount Kenya Foundation is very key in decision making concerning Mount Kenya politics. You and I are here. We are yet to see the best from Mount Kenya. They will speak in one voice.
No, my answer is no.
Okay. All right, Brother Frank, morning GB. What mechanisms will these politicians put in place to ensure the sustainability of bottom up? Is it another dead project after pumping in money? Sustainability?
You see, when we talk about bottom up, it's not a project. Okay. It's not a project that has a beginning and an end. Mm-hmm. It's a way of doing things. Okay. For example, when we talk about a value chain, it's not a project you just do one off and you finish. No, it's a way of doing things. So there isn't a beginning and an end. It's how we execute it in the different sectors of the economy. And some will, and let me point out, when you adopt a model across the board, some things might not work as well as others. It doesn't mean it has failed. No, it just means in some areas it might not work as well. You know, but it's something which is continuous. Yeah. So, for example, like I gave an example of KTDA, that's really a bottom up. I talked about a fresher in Githongori. That's again bottom up. You know, so it's something that outlives its the people who even started it, and it just continue growing and becoming bigger. Yeah, so it's not a one-off. It's not a project with a beginning and an end.
All right, what did you say then is the kind of system that we have right now, or is it working? What is the kind of system?
We have different right now. Generally, what we have is a top-down. For example,
trickle down.
Yeah, trickle down. Okay. Where we are told, for example, roads. It will depend. It will depend on how much money the county gets, from their kitty at the national arena, So you'll hear, like, if you read many county integrated plans, strategic plans, you'll see one of the things they will always write there. One of the things they didn't complete, they didn't do their project, is because they didn't get enough money. Okay, that's trickle down approach. That everything is being determined by what you get from the top. That is trickle down. Okay. What we are saying in a county, that you don't wait for what you get from the top. Okay. You do what you can do starting from the bottom. So generally, what we've been having in this country and what is largely like accepted as a norm is the trickle down economics. Yes,
is it not working?
It doesn't work because it doesn't reach to the bottom. Okay. Corruption is one of the issues. Okay. Corruption is a big issue. In addition to that, when you are always looking up, when you're always looking up for support, that then stops you. The same way they cannot execute their project because they are waiting for the money from the national government. You can wait forever. So it's not working. Let me say it's not working. We need to change that. Yes.
Haifanyi kazi. Haya, sawa. David Ngetisamba, I wish Kenyan people from Kiambu would vote quality and proven workmanship. The future is female. Grace Kamosh is very right. MKF doesn't speak for us. In fact, we don't worship them at all. They have no say on how we vote. Those are heading to 2022 elections. Women seem to be breaking the glass ceiling as there are more women aspiring to elective positions. Do you feel that the media is providing fair level ground to women? At least I'm exonerated.
Actually, I was coming to that. I was actually going to say.
I think I've hosted women all of last week.
That is very true, by the way. That is very, very true. And I was actually, a bit taken aback when I asked you, and you were very positive about it. Yeah. I've talked to other people who are very apprehensive. Really? You want to do that? Really? And so I would say even the media needs to change their perception that it's okay for women to actually want to run for some of these seats. It's okay. And in fact, we should. Because when you look at it today, we have 3 women governors out of 47. That is really not acceptable. So in fact, when we say like in Parliament or in Senate, we want the gender rule, the 1/3 gender rule, to implement the 1/3 gender rule. I mean, it's no surprise then that it's not really been working. So we do need to have more women participating in politics. But it's tough, let me tell you, it's tough.
Okay, all right. And stuff. So media, you've been challenged to ensure that you give women more coverage, and I think they deserve. Let's have more people speaking. What I believe in is conversations change the way things are done. The more we talk about things, the more we have every other knowing. Whenever we know what every other person thinks, the more we have value on the table. Because if you only hear what I'm saying, then you don't get to hear another story. You only hear my story. So ensure that we have many people coming in to participate and have a platform to be able to speak their minds. Maybe, you never know, we could pick the solutions that we need from the most unlikely quarters. So let's have more people talking. Let's have more people having conversations. Let's give more platform to people to speak up their minds and give us more ideas as we move forward. David Ngetit, I think going for governor should be about individual policy and ideology, not party mindsets. What's your individual policy and ideology plans for Kiambu and the future of Kenya? Even before we go there, I would like you to take us through the gaps that you feel are in Kiambu County. What is it you've seen that you think needs fixing as we speak, even before you go to your agenda?
Yeah. So what I've done is I've been talking to people in Kiambu, different types of people. I've also been going through the county integrated strategic plans. I've also been looking at data about the Kiambu County. One of the things I've noticed, for example, Kiambu County, if we go back to 1994 when we had the World Bank Structural Adjustment Program, the Kiambu County, the population of Kiambu County was about 1.2, 1.3 million. If you look at the Kiambu County now, the same Kiambu County, we are about 2.4, about 2.45 million. Now, the land is still the same, okay? Our staple food is maize and beans, okay? When you look at maize, the production as of 1994 was about 1.8 tons of maize per 1 hectare. If you look at the production of maize today, it's still that level, 1.8 tons per hectare. We double the population. The point I'm trying to make is the way we are going in Kiambu, our food production and our food security is in a very bad place. We will not be able to actually even put food on that. The way we say put food on the table. Because when you talk about food security, it's two things. Food security is not just the food itself, the production. Food security is also having money so that you can buy food of your choice. Right now, where we are headed is that we normally now have to buy our maize and beans from outside the county. Yeah, so that we can feed ourselves. But if we don't have money, we'll not even be able to buy. So we are saying we are getting to a stage where Kiambu cannot feed itself. So for me, that is the most important thing that we need to look at. Because if we can't feed ourselves, then what are we saying? So for me, that is the most important thing that we need to look at. Then the next thing which I've noticed, which is very glaring, our sanitation. When I look at our water under the water and sanitation, I noticed our sewer system was done in 1974, and the capacity of that sewer system is about 2.2 million wastewater per day. Cleaning up the wastewater per day. Today, the kind of system we need is about maybe 5 times that because Kiambu has really grown. So what you find is that many of these sub-counties actually don't have sewer systems. So what that is happening is also the environment, the kind of things we are doing, burning our garbage, no disposal, access to disposal. So with this climate change and issues with environment also affecting our production, Kiambu is in a bad place. So I would say those are the two most important things that I've actually noticed about Kiambu. Yes.
Okay. All right. Asante sana. Now, there's another issue that we've been in Kiambu. Alcohol. Joy. I saw the other time you guys were even demonstrating in Kiambu, the women. You're saying the men are no longer... Anyway, how do you fix that?
Trust you to pick on that one. And to
What's the problem? What's going on? What do you think is the
even
solution
find
around
it
that?
funny, because we women don't find it funny. So what's happening? We the very high. Let me choose Kiambu itself now. Zero in on Kiambu itself. The unemployment rate of the youth between 18, the voting youth, age of 18 to 35, the unemployment rate of youth is very extremely high. It's actually at 60%. And that figure, I didn't make it up. I actually took it from the County Integrated Strategic Plan of 2018 to 2022. That is very high, you know, compared to, for example, Nyeri at 13%, okay? So when you have a lot of youth like that, the little money they get from all sources, okay, like for example, what, you know, Honorable Raila Odinga is proposing, if you give them that money, the first thing they will do, because they can't do much with it, is drink, you know, is find their, you know, this provides a very temporary happiness, if I may put it that way. So yes, that is a very big issue. That's a very big issue. But what will happen is that you don't address, it's not an issue, you address it as itself. You address it from the bigger perspective. Why? Why is it happening? Again, it comes back to unemployment. So how do we create more jobs? Okay, so what I'm talking about, raise agricultural productivity, use new technologies, etc., engage the youth, you know, in agriculture, enterprise development, small businesses. How do we accelerate the growth of small businesses? Engage the youth. Once you engage them in income generating activities, that starts going down. So that's a way, that's my thinking of how to address it.
Okay. Yeah. All right, that's how you fix. Waititu also came ingine ilikuwa inaitwa kaa soba. So kaa soba by Waititu was to ensure that kunywa kidogo lakini usikunywa sana. Unapewa kapesa kidogo ya kuonja kidogo lakini usikunywa sana, and you also get some income that you given per day, some allowance for not drinking. The little you drink, the more the allowance that you get. So it'd be interesting to say you're going to fix that in Kiambu County, because I think that's one of the reasons why even moving forward it'll be very difficult to for the county, for the people to speak, because most of these people will not be even in a state to interrogate issues, in a state to make a decision in terms of voting and all that. Now let's come back to your agenda for Kiambu County. Now, I don't give you a very good time. I want you to take your time to speak out your agenda for Kiambu County, outline it, outline the agenda for Kiambu County. Have your time, outline it in your own way. I'm giving you time going forward.
Thank you.
Right.
So
and that's your comment.
Having said what I've said about the issues affecting Kiambu, I have my agenda 3. It has 3 pillars. So the first one is that we must raise our agricultural productivity. And in raising agricultural productivity, I'm looking at different things. I'm looking at the way we establish value chain, agricultural value chains. And we have examples already, which we have seen. For example, I talked about in our dairy sector, we have Fresher. Okay, so you have the cooperatives, producer groups. The Fresher buys their milk, adds value and sells it in different products. We also have one started for bananas. So we have seen, and it works. So we have farmers, the producer group for there are 10 producer groups for bananas. They grow the bananas, they process, they add a bit of value, and then they sell. So my idea on raising agricultural productivity is establishing more value chains and introducing technology. For example, there is a project done by KCB in Ngong, where they do they do vegetables in greenhouses. I want to replicate that in Kiambu, you know, and get the youth involved, you know, in vegetables, or, you know, in whichever product that we are looking at. Something like tomatoes, for example, being able to make byproduct of tomatoes. Here we are talking about tomato paste, any tomato product, and you sell them. That way you actually get more money, you know. So we become more productive and we also raise the productivity. So that's my agenda number one. My agenda number two, my pillar number two, is growing enterprise development, where we grow the small businesses. Because once you start growing small businesses, that is also what now will start moving up. When let's say you have 50 shops, like what I explained about 50 shops instead of one mall, you have 50 families involved, and they support their families, but they also get input from others. And then once people start earning a little bit more money, they start doing more things, like, for example, renovating their houses, that which also triggers other economic activities. So by starting with small businesses and creating an environment where those small businesses will grow, that will also trigger, will have a domino effect that creates very many other economic activities. Then my third agenda is on water and sanitation. Water, let me go back to water and say that, for example, about 48%. Let me step back a little bit. We have 4 sources of water. We have the natural sources, which is the rivers and the lakes. We have the above ground developed sources, which are, for example, the dams, the tanks, the water storage systems above ground. We have below ground, which, for example, the boreholes. And we also have water supply, being supplied. We talk about city council water. We talk about private providers of water. So when you look at Kiambu County holistically, you will notice supply of water. We would want that every home has access to, water nearby. Supply of water, we have a deficiency of about 48%, okay? Those are the people who are not supplied directly, so they have to get other sources of water. Now, when you look at the other side of sanitation, we don't have sewer systems. So what is happening is that the waste is actually discharged, let's say, at night. And what happens after that, it starts contaminating our water sources. So dealing with this water and sanitation problem is a very critical issue. And then again, I talked about my first agenda being agriculture. You can't do agriculture without water. So again, it comes back. So these 3 factors, these 3 agendas are very closely related. Yeah, so those are my 3 agendas, which I want to actually look into.
All right. There are 3 pillars. The 3 pillars for Kiambu County. Can I repeat again? The first pillar is?
Agricultural productivity. Raise agricultural productivity.
Okay, raise agricultural productivity. The second pillar?
Enterprise development, accelerate the growth of small businesses, small-scale businesses.
Third pillar?
The third pillar is deal with water and sanitation.
Water and sanitation.
Yes.
All right. Do you feel there are any things that's standing between you and these 3 pillars?
A lot. A lot. In the sense that one of the things that deters execution, because at the end of the day, you can have a very good strategic plan. But can you execute it? So I noticed that, like, from the previous county integrated strategic plans, the biggest issue has been in execution. The documents are there, they're nice and beautiful, but execution, they've not been executed. I would say only maybe 40% of it is actually executed. So it's execution. To execute, you need finance. How do you mobilize finance? So one of the things I would do differently when developing my county integrated strategic plan is make sure resource mobilization is part of the plan by itself, so that you're not just relying on the money that you get from the national, you're getting from the national government. You also have other sources of funding, so that for every project, every program you come up with, where you'll be looking for funding for it, and then looking for funding becomes a continuous thing, not a one-off, because now you don't have money, so let's look for money. No, it becomes a one-off. So that's something I would do differently. Just trying to mobilize financial resources to actually support the execution of the programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and talk about devolution. And as you plan to go into the system, and there has been already an outcry within the devolved system on the state of devolution and the willingness of the national government to devolve resources, not only functions, even functions they have been struggling to devolve them. But now there is an outcry already on financing resources and all that, and also devolving functions and devolving resources to the counties. And there have been some level of disquiet and dissatisfaction from devolved units. What do you think is the state of devolution now?
First of all, let me say, devolution works. Okay, and I'm saying that again from experience. When I was working for the African Development Bank, I championed a project of decentralizing the bank to the country offices from Tunisia, where the headquarters were. And it's a very similar process to devolution. Okay, devolution is at the higher level. Decentralization is one of the things you do under devolution. So I understand that process pretty well. So I can say devolution has worked. Having counties autonomous and giving people the freedom to elect their own leaders, that is very important and a very important aspect of devolution. So the part which is having challenges is how you decentralize functions, operations, and financial, the fiscal aspect of devolution. That is where the challenges are, and especially the fiscal side of it, because even just agreeing on that the money that is being shared, it's one cake being shared. You're not getting the money. You're not being given the money by the national government. This is your money. The money of the country is being shared to the different counties. That agreement has actually not even sunk in. So we still have the national government still playing the role of, the big chief deciding who gets what, which really should not be the case. So I would say there's still some work to be done, and I hope the government that comes into power, this is something that they're going to sort out to strengthen devolution and really make it work. This part about financial management in a devolved environment is something that actually still needs a little bit more work.
Okay. All right. Okay, all right. Hapo kuna swali kwa mheshimiwa anayekuja, mheshimiwa tarajiwa gavana wa Kiambu County, Mwende Katabaki. Basi unaweza nitumia pale comment section. Tuone pia mnaweza piga simu. Nambari ya 779-800-010. Kama kuna swali basi mtumie niangalie. Mbui, good morning. Gerard Bitok all the way from diaspora and fellow Kenyans. Good to see you, my brother Daniel Korir. Good morning Bitok, Amin from Kabarnet County. Asante sana Kipkwachiria. Kuona asante sana. Naona Jimmy Gakio. Good morning, comment to you Jimmy. Rosemary Kaboki. I like this lady already. Say no to recycling politicians. This is brand new politics in Kiambu. Ambassador Sebastian Barasa watching live. Kevin Jakindo aseme na kuona na Wanjiku Mugathe, the kind of freshness we need away from the status quo. All right. Jimmy Gakio, she can be guaranteed of my vote. Good brains, although the current backdoor governor was very eloquent and had bright ideas which vanished after sneaking in office. All right. Kibeki Titus, good morning. Gerald Takla, Jimmy Gakio, Gerald Captain alienda wapi? Captain alipata assignment kidogo lakini atarudi next week, wacha nitamtafuta kuja. Angeno Jerry, good morning. Sensible agendas is the road map to leadership. Irene Wanjiku, Charity Kika, please come listen to your good friend. Mwana kona rafiki ameitwa pale pia. Devin Ngatich, in 2012 we had a CEO governors who tried to run the counties as corporations, but the murky politics of the counties stopped them dead, with many not getting a second term, i.e. Cheboy and Kidero. What different will you do for the county and face the dirty politics head on? And I think it's a very important question, because a lot of people, when they are seeking for political positions, they seem to have the best ideas. They're coming from a background that they have been able to do a lot within the corporate or the private sector, or maybe international platform. But somehow, when they get to office, I don't know if the demons are on steroids there. I don't know what happens. And somehow, we lose those people. They become a shell and a pale shadow of themselves. Look at the person you want to remove from the leadership now, Nyoro. Nyoro was a smart guy, very smooth talker. And he seemed to have the best ideas more than the governor who was sitting at that time. And people are like, wow, if you give him this guy a chance, probably could transform Kiambu County. Today, the tears in Kiambu are very premium. What will you do differently?
let me go back to my experience when I joined KTDA. I joined KTDA into Kenya Tea Development Agency. I joined KTDA in 2004, and everybody was telling me, really, you want to work in KTDA? Because of the politics, in KTDA. In a way, KTDA is a small, it represents the nation. You know, the politics we have at the top, at the Kenya level, the national level, is actually, you see a small percentage of it in KTDA. You see, when you're doing public work and you're working for the people, you must listen to the people.
Yes.
You must listen to the people.
Okay.
In fact, your ideas, when I talk about my agenda, it's not me. I didn't just sit down and listen, and come up that and say this is my agenda. No, I've actually been talking to people a lot. That's how I got to know about the sewer systems. That's how I got to know about the productivity and joblessness and stuff like that, because I also see it myself. Now, when you're coming up with you must have buy-in of the people. One of the things I notice in the county strategic plans, the challenges of them not being able to execute is not getting buy-in. That the counties, they even state it in there that, people tell them, we don't understand what you guys are saying or what you guys are doing. You cannot start implementing a strategy if the very people you're implementing it for are telling you they don't understand what you're doing or what you're saying. So what I can say is that there has been a bit of a gap between what is written in those plans, very good ideas, and actually how the ground understands it. So what I would do differently is, first of all, get the buy-in. If we're talking about this is our plan, this is what we plan to do, getting the buy-in from the people.
From the people themselves.
And knowing that those are their priorities. So you are quite aligned. That one is very important.
All right. So you feel that has not been done? That's what has been missing?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's even noted in the plan. One of the reasons that why most of it was not executed was people were not with them.
Okay. All right. Sasa mmesikia kwamba mheshimiwa atabaki will stay grounded on what was on what agendas are. Kariki Masi, this lady is following Kawanjiku's footsteps, new leadership and energetic. Haya. So the people of Kiambu mepata governor wenu na amesema ya kwamba atakisha kwamba nasikiza watu, the people we have in leadership right now are not listening with the ground, listening to people. Now she's going to focus on assuring that she can listen to what your needs are. Is there anything else that you think the people of Kiambu need in leadership?
What I would say is that the Kiambu people, they're like any other person. They're like any other person.
Okay.
But yes, Kiambu, the challenge of having a president coming from the county is also an issue, because then you tend to keep quiet. Anytime you raise your voice, we don't have this, you're told, but the president comes from your county. Anytime we say, well, we are not even represented in the cabinet. Yes, but the president comes from your county. You can't raise issues also because you don't want to embarrass the president who comes from your county. So I feel that and I don't mean this badly, by the term of the president coming to an end, it's a very good thing for Kiambu. We'll be free to say exactly how we feel. What is not working will be free to say that it's not working.
You cannot say it now.
We can't quite say it now because we'll be embarrassing the president. We feel we don't want to embarrass one of our own, you see. Yeah. So for me, I look forward to having a president who does not come from Kiambu, so that if I'm elected governor, I'm able actually to work and people are free with me. When something is not working, they tell me it's not working. We sit and strategize and brainstorm and come up with way forward.
Okay. Someone is asking you, which party are you running on?
I'm still listening to the ground. I'm still listening to the people. But what I like is what people have told me. There are people from UDA who are saying UDA is a party. Like I said right at the beginning, what I have seen is like 65%, 70% around that area are actually talking about UDA. But there are also people telling me, as we are in ODM, but guess what? We want you as our governor. So I would say I will most likely go with the party that the majority are keen on, which is UDA right now. But yes, I'll also want to talk to everybody else, because as a governor, you'll have to work with everybody, whichever party they were on.
All right. Yes. I want to ask you a question. Do you think we'll have candidates running on an ODM ticket in Central Kenya?
We might. Okay. We might. For example, there are two areas Roiro, Thika, and Juja, I will not be surprised.
Okay.
I've talked to many people from that area. There are many people, there are ODM pockets.
Ruiru,
Yeah.
Juja,
Yeah.
and
Thika.
And Thika, okay.
There are few, there are ODM pockets, Roiro especially. What they might do, however, is choose to run as with not being on a party instead of doing
Independent.
ODM, yes,
Okay.
as independent. They might, if they feel the ground will get a bit hostile, they might say, no, me, I'm independent. Okay, but really, yes, I've seen some pockets there. If there's going to be any ODM seats, if it's going to be any people running on ODM, I'll expect it from that area.
Okay. All right. David has kindly asked the governor what she will do to boost the cottage industries as the primary source of income for the county, and also about the Del Monte lease renewal questions once elected.
Let me deal with the first one about the cottage industries. I talked about value chains. When you talk about value chains, it's an end-to-end. It starts with the actual, let's say, for example, you're doing tomatoes. It starts with producing the tomatoes, the inputs for getting the tomatoes, all the way to processing. So what will happen is that for every value chain, we create those cottage industries for processing the different things. And these are very good because they also create a lot of employment. Then we find a way of linking our smallholder farmers to the market.
Okay.
So there's a processing and also the different ways that you link to the market. Okay. So we will create them in those value chains. They'll play their role in those value chains. So that's a key part of what I'm trying to introduce in Kiambu. The value chain development and value addition. That is a core component of my first pillar of my Agenda 3.
Okay. You have the second question within the same.
Come again, sorry?
You have the second question within the same question. And that was about Del Monte.
The Del Monte.
Renewal, the land issues within Kiambu that are under leases.
And I think he knows why he's asking that. Because land issues in Kiambu, it's the same thing. You never say anything. You cannot say anything bad about the president.
Kwani shamba iko na uhusiano gani na president?
Land issues,
What is the relationship between
in
land and the
Kiambu
president?
is the elephant in the room.
Okay.
It's the elephant in the room. Let me say that 3 times. It's the elephant in the room. It's the elephant in the room. It's the elephant in the room. Yeah.
Land is the elephant in the room, so you'll avoid Del Monte.
Not
Mheshimiwa manza kazi na uoga.
No, I wouldn't call it that. When you start an assignment, when people give you an assignment, you don't start by fighting.
Okay.
No. You don't start by fighting. And it doesn't. In fact, we say sometimes when you avoid a fight, it's not because you're a coward.
Okay.
Because it's a wise thing to do.
Okay.
Land issues. If you start dealing with land issues from day 1, you are not going to move anywhere. On day 2, day 3, day 100, you'll still be on that day 1 agenda. So land issues is something I wouldn't start focusing on in my. Let's say I get 5 terms. It's not something I'll start focusing on because then you'll never move from there. It's the biggest issue in Kiambu. Yes.
All right. So you'll stay away from.
Not that I'll do what needs to be done and what can be done.
All right.
And what can be done.
Okay.
Yes.
Those are the 3 pillars of spot on. However, the biggest challenge in Kenya has been the implementation. What assurance does she give the Kiambu people that it will not just be in a paper but actualized? I think you would answer that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Vision Total Football Kenya from the UK. Bitok, the lady's right. The most of the government implement what they want, but not what the people want. Many governors also focus more on politics rather than being the CEOs of the country. All right. David Ngati, it's smart move on the Del Monte issue. She needs good advice to deal with Del Monte and Kakuzi. I think he knew why he was asking.
Yes.
All right. He said. Okay, we are heading towards the tail end of the broadcast. I would also want to know what's your prediction on the transition politics that are coming up right now? What do you see happening?
Do you mean at the national level?
Yes, at the national level.
I see interesting times ahead. Interesting times ahead. I see, the handshake people. You still have some remnants of Jubilee and the handshake people just hanging in there, hoping the president is going to do something, some magic and say my candidate is this one. that I doubt whether it's going to happen. We also see on the other side, Ruto is really coming up across the country. Well, I think we are going to have, and the fact also that we don't have a Kikuyu candidate. This is, this changes a lot of dynamics. So I think we are going to have very interesting times ahead. Yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Another thing you've noticed that there seems to be a serious low voter turnout. Would that affect the elections? Do you see an apathy coming in 2022?
There is. For example, in Kiambu, my county, it was very low, disappointingly low. For example, compared to others, I was comparing, for example, with Nakuru. In Kiambu, it's like 60,000 new voters. In Nakuru is about 360,000. In fact, now Nakuru has actually caught up with Kiambu. We were always like the second, with a big margin. Yes. Now the margin is gone. And I see that also happening now with people actually turning out to vote. That apathy. And partly it's also the same reason of not having a Kikuyu, in quote, a Kikuyu presidential candidate, but it's something that we will have to work on and encourage people. Like, for example, during this season, what I did myself, when IBC told me, why don't you talk to people and get them to go and register? Okay. So I got some of the churches to also allow IBC to actually camp there on Sunday. I got some of the schools to also allow the compound to be used outside the school, to try and at least get a few more people to register. Okay. And but I think a lot of work will need to be done to actually get people to turn out and actually vote. There's some work to be done there.
All right. 10 years towards devolution. Almost 10 years after devolution was introduced in the country in 2010. Do you feel there has been a gender imbalance in running of the county? And what do you think has informed that?
Yes, there has been. I mean, if you look at today, we have 3 women governors out of 47. That is extremely low. And actually trying to do what I'm doing has made me really appreciate and recognize what it takes for people like Martha Karua, for people like, Anne Waiguru, Charity Ngilu, Aisha Juma, even those who are aspiring and going through what I'm going through. Okay, they're a bit ahead because they've been in politics for a longer time. Yes. Aisha Juma, Susan Kehika. And it has made me, I salute them because even your own friends, women friends, will tell you, really, you want to do that? You want to sell your soul to the devil? We have that. But yet, we must be brave and we must get into this arena so that we can also influence how decisions are made in the country, and see what our real needs for our people are, minus the politics. There are real issues there to be addressed. Be the ones to actually bring those issues up and, address them. So I would say that is there, and it's a big challenge. And we also see it, in Parliament, in the Senate. We have not been able to implement the 1/3 gender rule. So the issue is there. The issue is there. It's there countrywide. Yeah.
Your tackle of the day. Your tackle of the day is your punch of the day. What do you think you'd want to speak to the people? Or to your comments, your last comments on the show?
What I would say is to the Kiambu people, I hear you. I feel you. What you've told me that you feel neglected, I feel it. And I would like you to give me this chance to be your governor. I would like us, the previous governors have always been men. I have no problem with that. But let's change and give a woman a chance and see whether those issues that you have raised, I would actually want to deal with them. And as I deal with them, I'll be talking with you and we'll walk together all the way. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I wish you the very best, Mwende GATABAKI, and I hope you'll be able to change the things that you've seen happen with the people of Kiambu. For the people of Kiambu, you have a challenge. You have more people speaking. And I want to say this, if you want to run for a seat, please show up and speak your agenda. The more agendas we have on the table, the more conversations we can have around the politics and leadership of this country, the more we're able to choose from. So if you come on unafikiria you want to see something changing in where you come from, nothing stops you from stepping up and saying, I want to take this up and see if I can make things change. Paul, I believe I'm all the best, but he can form a collaboration with Jungle Wanaina. Sawa. Mesikia atatuambia kama watasikizana ama itakuwa vipi, lakini mambo ndio hivyo. Tukisha kwamba watu ambao kila mara tunatoka watu Kiambu, now you can listen to everybody. Nimesikia watu wametajwa, basi sikizeni kila mtu. Ukianza kusikia kwamba kuna agenda ama idea ambayo unasikia inaweza kufanya kazi kwako, utaweza kumpigia kura. Kama pia unasikia 3 pillars ya Mheshimiwa Mwende GATABAKI is appealing to you as a citizen of Kiambu County, then you know where to place your vote. For you, I wish you the very best. I hope you'll not change. You'll come back when you win. You come back here to say thank you. And you also, after 3 years in power, you'd want to come there and audit you. Ulifanya yale mambo ulisema, ama you went ahead and did the things that these other guys are doing, your predecessor. So you show the very best, all the best, and keep believing what you believe. Don't keep quiet. Keep speaking about the things that you believe in. And go for it. Mimi usema, hii kiti, hakuna mtu alizaliwa naye akiwa amefungiwa na super glue. Sisi wote tunaitafuta. Haya basi, tumpe nafasi pia aweze kuzungumza na wananchi. Kama watapenda agenda yake, basi mambo itakuwa shwari hivyo. Thank you so much the guys who have been with us on YouTube as well. Thank you for standing in with us. Thank you for the guys on Facebook. Thank you for having a conversation with us again this morning. Until tomorrow is Wednesday. Okay. Until tomorrow on Siasa Wednesday, take care and see you. This is a tackle and it ends now. Bye-bye.